Naughty Dog. Starting out as a small company under Activision working on Crash Bandicoot games, the company grew tired of Activision's BS crunch time and they became their own individual studio. Now being their own entity and escaping crunch time, for now at least, the next big hit was Jak and Daxter, a PS2 mascot who sold alongside Ratchet and Clank and Sly Cooper. After the Jak and Daxter trilogy was concluded, they made 3 spin-offs before moving on. So at that point in time, Naughty Dog was doing pretty well, but their success in the Crash Bandicoot trilogy and the Jak and Daxter series doesn't explain how they became the big household name they are today. Well, Naughty Dog's ascension to mass popularity all began with Uncharted Drake's Fortune, a third-person action-adventure game that released in 2007 to really good reception. But what do I think of Uncharted? Does it still hold up more than a decade later, or has it poorly aged? Well, let's find out. The first thing I'll get out of the way is the game's visuals. The version I played was an HD remaster on the PlayStation 4, but since all the remasters did was up the resolution, and after going back and checking out some PS3 footage of the game, yeah, this game still looks freaking amazing. Naughty Dog was ambitious with the settings of this game because every environment is atmospheric and detailed. If you're traveling through the island's surface, you have a luscious, bright, and beautiful landscape as you can see the grass moving in response to your legs passing through it. And the water looks so good. When you're in a cave or cavern, all of the walls are jagged and rich in detail. The lighting is low enough to be appropriate for the setting, but bright enough for the environment to be visible, and the sound design, while nothing special, is handled really well and only complements the environments. And later in the game, when you're deep within the island and you discover its true nature, the lighting is ominous, the walls are bloody, it's literally like a horror movie. The devs not only mastered how to set up the atmosphere, but they also set it with extreme detail and really takes advantage of the PlayStation 3's full power. Not only that, but this game was also has interactive environments. What I mean by that is in the midst of combat, a single grenade can blow up pillars or the excessive firing of a machine gun can destroy a barricade. While this isn't anything special nowadays, this was extremely impressive for 2007. Speaking of combat, let's talk about gameplay. Do you guys want to know a secret? Personally, I've never really liked the gameplay of the Naughty Dog games I've played. Crash Bandicoot was a bit too slippery for my taste, The Last of Us gameplay made me want to jump out of a window, and Jak and Daxter had clunky platforming, tedious gameplay, and horrible vehicle controls. So to play a Naughty Dog game that felt smooth to play in every aspect took me by major surprise. The gunplay is straightforward and smooth, and the platforming doesn't feel like Sly Cooper or anything, but making Nate have the weight of a human adds to the game's realism. While you're in combat, there's a plethora of things you can do. You can aim and shoot, try to blind fire from the safety of a barricade, or run and gun if you need to make a quick maneuver. 100% you're going to need to do one of these things eventually because the combat in this game actually makes you think about your next move. While there's rarely a situation where you run out of ammo, you're not Lee from The Walking Dead, so you're going to need to switch guns from time to time, which encourages you to try new weapons and experiment every now and then. However, while the game has such a fun combat system, I have to sadly address the game's biggest flaw: repetition. While the game is mainly about combat, that doesn't excuse the fact that there's a gunfight every 5 minutes, and by the halfway point of the game, I had seen everything the combat had to offer, but then I realized I had another 4 hours of the game to beat. It took me 4 recording sessions to beat the game, and each of the sessions was spaced out and only lasted somewhere around 2 to 3 hours. So I was constantly refreshed while playing the game, and I recommend that's how you play it. If you're going to play this game, be sure to take some breaks once in a while, because if you beat this game in one playing session, you're going to be exhausted by the end due to its repetitious nature. However, to this game's credit, there's plenty of things to do to spice things up. One is platforming. There's plenty of platforming in this game, and I can proudly say the platforming was pretty smooth. They found a way to have smooth platforming while also making your character feel like a genuine human. That's a really cool overlooked thing that they did. The only nitpick I have is sometimes while you're climbing, this game doesn't really give any indication as to where to jump because obviously it's trying to achieve total realism. However, there's sometimes a platform or ledge that you had no idea you were supposed to jump to. It's understandable they can't have an indication since this game is trying to remain grounded, and this isn't a serious con, it's just a nitpick I have. Overall, the platforming is pretty solid. Next is puzzle solving. The game has a couple of environmental puzzles to solve, and only 2 stumped me. One was because I was just an idiot, and the other was because it was so BS it's the most hated puzzle in the game. Other than that, the puzzles in this game were pretty darn easy. See, Nathan has a notebook that you can pull out during certain puzzles in the game, and all you have to do is look at the notebook and use 1% of your brain to figure out what you have to do next. And whenever you don't have your notebook on you, most times either the puzzle is spelled out for you or you have to just shoot an explosive barrel. I'm not saying make the puzzles extremely difficult because I still have PTSD from playing Resident Evil, which made me feel like a moron, but they could have made the puzzles just a tad bit more interesting. Other than the combat, platforming, and puzzles, there's also 3 vehicle sections in the game, one taking place on a truck and being a turn sequence, and the other 2 being on a boat. While the boat segments were a bit hard to control, all of the vehicle segments were still some fun breaks from the repetitious combat. Also, the AI were cool for the most part. Sometimes they would rush you for no reason at all, but other than that, they would strategically take cover and cleverly try to flush you out with grenades of their own or occasionally flank you. Overall, the gameplay is solid, even though it suffers from some shortcomings. Now, time for the main attraction when it comes to Naughty Dog games. The story. Hey guys, if the mic sounds different, it's because this is a pre-recorded message recorded after I recorded the review, and I'm just giving you guys a disclaimer that I kind of mispronounced Elena's name the entire time and called her Eleanor throughout the entire review. So yeah, I just wanted to warn you guys about that. Elena is apparently Eleanor now, so yeah, that might get annoying, but just know that I realized the mistake, and yeah, I kind of mispronounced her name the entire story review. But with that said, let the review continue. In this game, we follow Nathan Drake, a witty, good-hearted thief who's trying to search for a hidden treasure his grandfather, Sir Francis Drake, went looking for. Huh, a witty, good-hearted thief searching for a lot of gold that would also make his deceased family proud. Sorry, Naughty Dog, Sucker Punch beat you to it. Joining Nathan on his adventure is a good friend of his, Sully, and a woman they just met trying to make a documentary named Eleanor. After getting attacked by pirates, gotcha there again, Naughty Dog, Nathan and Sully decide keeping this treasure their business and not millions of viewers would be preferable, so they leave Eleanor behind. After exploring for a bit, Nathan finds a map that could help him locate the treasure, but him and Sully are caught up by a man named Roman, accompanied by someone familiar of the island named Navarro. Fed up with Sully delaying the debt he owes him, Roman shoots Sully and Nathan is forced to get away. He reunites with Eleanor before the two take off in a plane to continue their hunt for the treasure. I gotta say, the back and forth between Nathan and Eleanor is pretty funny and cute. However, the plane is shot down and the two are separated. Nathan later locates Eleanor, but in an attempt to rescue her, he gets captured and she ironically has to rescue him. Then we meet Eddie, who is a pretty entertaining and funny antagonist that I wish we saw more of. Nathan and Eleanor barely are able to get away, and in a surprising turn of events, the character who we assumed would be eager to pursue the treasure has decided he's had enough of this crap and is ready to pack his bags and leave. And the character who we thought would be the one fed up and ready to leave is a determined one. She fails to convince Nathan to stay until she reveals some footage that shows Sully is still alive and might be looking for Roman. Nathan and Eleanor locate Sully, who reveals he's been throwing Roman off with pointless advice, and in a pretty heartwarming scene, our three characters are reunited, but this time, they're a team. After exploring further, Nathan overhears a conversation being held with Roman, Navarro, and Eddie, where Eddie is paranoid something evil is on this island, but Roman dismisses that silly idea and fires him from the operation, which leads to the funniest line in the game.
Remind me again why you employed that superstitious You wanted someone cheap.
Later, Nathan and Eleanor are separated from Sully and are trapped within the underground structure of the island. It's here where we get a pretty emotional scene where Nathan finds the corpse of his grandfather who never actually found the treasure and died for nothing. Eddie finds the two and attacks them over the treasure, but Nathan and Eleanor are able to get away. Then Eddie and a guard of his runs into the room with Eddie's confident attitude replaced with absolute terror. Before Nathan can get whatever is happening out of him, the group are attacked by these athletic humanoid creatures. I didn't get a chance to talk about these guys in the gameplay segment since I didn't want to spoil people who hadn't played the game yet, but the game's sudden switch from grounded gunfights to paranormal zombies is such an abrupt yet brilliant change that really freaked people out during their first playthrough. Then, in a nice moment, Nathan and Eddie team up to hold up against the zombie-like creatures until Eleanor is able to lower a rope. Unfortunately, my boy Eddie is too confident and pays for it with his life. Nathan and Eleanor are able to get away, but unfortunately the two are forced to split up so Nathan can unlock the next door. On his way, Nathan discovers that the treasure of the island is cursed and whoever comes in contact with it will mutate into one of those creatures. Once Nathan's grandfather, Sir Francis Drake, saw this, he destroyed all transportation to the island to prevent the treasure from leaving. When Nathan gets back, he sees that Roman, Navarro, and some other mercenaries have taken Eleanor hostage. Nathan meets back up with Sully, and the two are on their way to rescue Eleanor and stop Roman before they are held at gunpoint. Roman is encouraged by Navarro to open the treasure, but once he opens it, the curse quickly consumes him and he's about to attack Navarro when he's put down with a bullet to the head. I think it's a cool twist that Navarro turned out to be the actual villain of the game, but I guess it would have been cooler if these guys were, more, would actually had more screen time. Anyways, Nathan hitches a ride on the helicopter to stop Navarro from stealing a cursed treasure and to save Eleanor. The helicopter crashes, and after a decent final fight, Nathan rescues Eleanor, but as Navarro is about to light up the two, in a pretty cool kill, Nathan pushes the helicopter which drags Navarro and the treasure to the depths of the ocean, ensuring no one will ever get their hands on the treasure, and finishing where his grandfather started. Then, in a really nice happy ending, Sully screws over Nathan and Eleanor's romantic moment and reveals he found a boat with huge money worths of riches, and our trio of lovable characters ride into the sunset. That's a pretty good story. Where do I even begin? The characters are all lovable and feel human. The story is a classic treasure hunting story with some pretty cool twists and turns. While this story isn't Shakespeare or anything, it's still a really likable and perfectly executed one. Uncharted Drake's Fortune is freaking awesome. Where do I even begin? Well, I guess I'll start with the visuals. This game looks breathtaking with widely detailed environments, nice settings, and perfect atmosphere. The gameplay controls smoothly with perhaps the best gunplay I've seen in a video game so far. I'm surprised that came out of my mouth in a Naughty Dog review. And the story is a nice, simplistic, perfectly told one. This game was a huge step up and set the bar high for PS3 single-player releases. However, unfortunately, the game isn't without its shortcomings. The combat gets repetitive pretty quickly, the puzzles are incredibly easy, and there's very few things to spice things up. Even the story, which is a really fun time, is just that, a fun time. It's nothing breathtaking or complex. This game is kinda tragic since it has so much going for it, but it fails in too many small areas which places it on the edge of greatness. That's why Uncharted Drake's Fortune gets a well-deserved 4 out of 5. However, I hear so many good things about Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, which means I might really like that game, but who knows.